PJNET.TV. It's 9 o'clock on the East Coast, and it's time to get started with 2 trips around the Cross W tonight. Let's see, we have a bumper running. Yes, we are recording, and we are streaming live, and the chat room's waiting. So let's switch and do a countdown to Studio 8. Well, good evening. Welcome to PJNET.TV. What a special night we have in store tonight. As you see, we are going to take not a trip around the Cross W. We're going to take 2 of them, in fact, because the Cross W Ranch is more than JD. It's more than JD and Bubba, his chocolate lab. It's more than JD, his chocolate lab, and his cattle and his donkeys and his barn cats. Actually, the engine under the hood at the Cross W Ranch is actually JD's wife, Diane. And those of you who frequent the PJNET.TV chat room already know Diane pretty well. And Diane, it's good to have you join us. The reason that we wanted to have you join us is that you have this secret mission that you carry out, this ministry, and we want it not to be a secret other than taking care of JD, which I think is JD high maintenance.
Sometimes.
So he can be. Okay.
He can be, yes.
But whatever maintenance he needs, you provide. But when you're not providing maintenance to JD, it's my understanding.
Then I am at my desk.
It's my understanding you stay pretty darn busy. So tell us what keeps you busy.
What keeps me busy is I am a card maker, and I got into card making about 20 years ago as a kind of therapy for me. I used to work in a law office and would come home from work totally frazzled. My boss's clients would choose not to return calls. I couldn't reach him half the time. So I would just come home and I'd need to unwind. So fix supper, get it on the table, we'd eat, and then I would go to a little tiny card table that we had set up in the kitchen, and that's where I would work. And he would go to bed, but I would have to stay up. I was determined to be a card maker. And it grew from there, and I would start sending cards to everybody at work for whatever reason. Just, hi, how are you? I'd see them every day, but had to send a card. And then got on Facebook, and I talked with a girl that lived in upstate New York, and she had a card ministry named You Matter. So I asked her if I could borrow that, if I could use it somehow, because it really struck a chord. She said, well, you could personalize it to your area. So I wound up calling it You Matter Card Ministry of New Hope Church, Cooper, Texas. And my girlfriend Debbie and I got into trying to find somebody that would accept our cards. We wanted to make cards, and I was talking to a nurse one day after I finished rehab, and she mentioned she had a ministry, a clothing ministry. I said, well, pray for me, please. I'm trying to find some place that will need cards, showing encouragement and so on. She said, I got a name for you. She whipped out her phone. She gave me the name and the telephone number. I went home and I called, and that was Hope Ministries of Northeast Texas. And the lady's name there, the founder of that ministry, Miss Judy Capps. She said yes without seeing one scrap of paper that I had scribbled on. And the ministry was off and running. And then we found another ministry that was kind of in the same area. And then we happened on one that was all the way in Dallas. Whew, we were big time. And we kept up for about 5 years with that. And at one point, we were sending out more than 75 cards a month. to the women in the shelters. They were at-risk shelters, transitional shelters. They would prepare the women how to live their life, how to get along in the real world and not turn back to their old ways. And some of the women had children with them. So we would send cards also to the children and the mamas and all of the staff and anybody else that we could find. And we wound up doing that for 5 years. And then I felt God kind of nudged me, and he wanted to lead me somewhere else, but I didn't know where. I still don't really know. But I talked it over with JD, and I talked it over with my partner, Debbie, and we decided that perhaps we had run a long enough run with You Matter. And then I was browsing on Facebook one day, and I came across this Facebook group called Bring Smiles to Seniors. And I chatted with the lady that was in that group, and she told me a little bit about it. And she said there's another group that makes cards, and they send directly to seniors. If that's something you're interested in, you might want to look into that too. I did, and I asked to join the group and was accepted. And my life now centers around making cards for seniors. Seniors that are homebound, seniors that are in some kind of a facility, a nursing home, an assisted living facility, some kind of a rehab facility. And it's extremely fulfilling. These poor people have been quarantined and on lockdown if they're in a facility probably since March. And I just got a request, not to me personally, but saw a request online that there's a lady who was just diagnosed with COVID. She's in quarantine and she's pretty much a prisoner of her room. And that's just sad. So anything that we can do, the slogan for Bring Smiles to Seniors is one smile, one card at a time. And I enjoy doing it.
I can tell. I really can, Diane. You have used the phrase "we," send out these cards. Who is producing the cards?
I am producing cards, and I mail. I have my place that I go to on the mailing list. I take birthdays for a month, and in addition to birthdays, I will take requests that come in to the group and put them on a list that I keep separately. And then I ask for 2 pages on the mailing list. And then this month they're doing a special mailing for veterans. And then there's Thanksgiving. And then there's Christmas. And in between there's still birthdays and everything else. So it keeps me busy.
I bet it. I'm going to take your word that it does, because I have no idea. I could not even imagine trying to do such a thing. So the typical day goes, JD gets up before the sun comes up. I think he has a rule that he's the last one to eat. So JD comes in kind of, dirty and nasty from the cow pasture, and you cook up some of that gravy, biscuits and gravy. Is that how and some coffee?
No, he's actually up he's up in the middle of the night. He's up at dark 100, as he calls it. And he will make himself a pot of coffee. He will set up the other coffee maker for me for whenever I stagger out of the bedroom with one eye open and the other one still trying. And he's in his room and he's doing his Bible time and his prayer time and his God time. And after daybreak, he'll go out and he'll feed the livestock and all the little guys, including Bubba, who's not so little. And then he'll come in and he cooks his own breakfast.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
I'm not a breakfast person.
Yeah, I am too.
So he cooks his breakfast and he gets started on his day. In the meantime, I have removed myself from my desk area. I have to check email and Facebook before I do anything. And then I'll go back to my corner in the bedroom and do my Bible study and my prayer time. And then I'm ready to come out and face the rest of the day.
Okay, so you kind of start now. You've already kind of got your, for lack of a better word, target list. You know where it's going to, you know who these are going to go to. How much do you know about the individual that you're sending the card to?
They give us a really brief bio, what their birthday is, what their address is, what their likes are. Some of them like hunting, some of them like the colors pink and blue, others like tangerine and teal. So we get a little bit and we try to work around that, work in like their favorite colors. If somebody likes hummingbirds, I have a photographer friend. I asked if I could borrow his image and reproduce it as needed, and he gave me, sure, go ahead, do it. He was happy for that. And if somebody likes to make cards or scrapbook or color or work word puzzles, then I try to send coloring pages, or I try to send pages from a word puzzle book, a word search book. And then I try to write a little note of encouragement in there.
So each card is handcrafted, and you are that craftsman, that crafts person. And
I am.
You sit down. You have, I guess you buy blank cardstock somewhere. I've
got so much cardstock, Mark, you wouldn't believe it.
Okay, so you sit down. Now, walk us through mechanically. Do you use, I don't know, crayons, colored pencils, paintbrush? How do you make these?
I find an image that I want to use first, and I've got a ton of sources. I've got digital images that are stored on my computer. I have physical stamps that are stored in my office, and I find one that I like, one that I think fits the person I'm sending the card to, and then I decide how I want to color it. And I have colored pencils, I have paintbrushes and paints, and I have markers, lots of them. I have lots of everything. So, I make that decision. I try to color it, and if it's a digital image, I'll print a full size 8.5 by 11. It's easier to color a big image. You don't miss any of the details.
Right.
And then you start trying to put it all together. What color did I make this? And then I have to find a color that I can use that kind of pulls everything together to put behind the colored image on top of the plain white cardstock. So there's the cardstock, a backing sheet, and then the image. And some kind of a sentiment on the front, thinking of you, happy birthday, so sorry that you're not feeling well. Make them up as I go.
So I'm trying to get a grasp of from how much time from start to finish. How long does it usually take?
Sometimes it can take me an entire day. First of all, it depends on how many interruptions I get. If I'm trying to do laundry, or if it's reconcile the checkbook time, or if I've got a machine that cuts out pieces of imagery for me. It's like die cuts, and it's used to they're used to decorate the page. And sometimes that machine doesn't want to cooperate with me. So it can go from 2 hours to 10 hours, and those are the days that I'm really frazzled.
So you said earlier there was a point at which you were cranking out 75 of these a month. So
correct.
That's in excess of 2 a day.
Correct. But I had a partner in the You Matter ministry. That's my girlfriend Debbie Bookout.
Okay. So now
I couldn't have done.
So now it's solo, and so then at that point, do you actually have the address of the person, or is it like to the facility and then they just get it to the How does that work? The mail.
I have the address to the person. Now, the parent organization, Bring Smiles to Seniors, they take donations from their members and they are distributed to like Meals on Wheels, other like organizations, or they go to facilities that then distribute them according to who they think the card fits best.
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at one of the images that you sent me here, and it says "Make a Wish, Happy Birthday." It appears as if that's not an easel that it's on. That's just a thing to display the card, isn't it?
Correct.
But tell us about if you remember this card. It looks like there's some detail around the edges, and in other words, these are not just drawings.
No. The white around the edges is called an offset, and my machine, my silhouette cameo, does that for me.
Folks, if you want to see more of this work, actually, you can just go to Diane's Facebook page and her photos. There are dozens and dozens and dozens. So, Diane, I know that this is not really a business. This is like a ministry to you, right?
This is. It's an extension of the You Matter ministry, except I'm signing my name, Diane, in Texas, and the back of the card is stamped with a stamp that I got through Bring Smiles to Seniors. You know, this card was sent by a card angel.
Card angel.
On behalf of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Have any of the family members of the people you send cards to, do they ever get in contact with you?
No, but some of the recipients have sent back letters, and one of the ladies wrote me this really long letter. I don't know how it ever got here. It was addressed to Dale Evans, but it was our address.
Okay.
And I was afraid to open it because I didn't know if it was for me or not, but I did, and I saw that she had addressed the letter, started the letter, Dear Diane. Mm-hmm. And she went on and on about, you know, how her daughter raises all these gigantic plants on this little 2x4 patio of theirs, and she sent me something called a trash can card. And I guess what they do is they rummage through trash cans, and anything that they can use, any button or a little piece of ribbon, anything that would make up an image, they'll put it all on a big sheet of cardstock and they send them. So I was the recipient of a trash can card.
Okay. Well, it must be very fulfilling because your constituents, I guess you would say, are so in need. And you know, I can remember the day when I was younger where sending letters and cards was a normal part of life, but not today. Mm-hmm. So to get a card, I can't remember it's very, very unusual. Therefore, it's more special today, I would assume, that when you started, it's just something special that, gives you a little boost for the day, doesn't it?
Well, with the seniors we're working with, they are so appreciative of the fact that somebody is thinking of them. And their relatives will sometimes come back to, not me personally, but they will post on the website, oh, if you could just see the look on my mother's face or on my father's face. They're so happy that they have all these cards. And look, they even wrote inside them, and, they just can't imagine that somebody cares about them.
Diane, you're an angel. It just makes very heartwarming, and I have no idea, but I can just imagine the hours of labor that go into that. But I know you wouldn't do it if you didn't love it and if you didn't feel like it was lifting their spirits.
I couldn't do it if God didn't give me the ability. When I was a kid, I couldn't draw stick figures. I still can't
Really?
draw, but I can color.
Okay.
and
Fair
I
enough.
can put colors together, right?
Yeah.
And I have a lot of resources. I look on Pinterest, and I look at videos on YouTube, and there's just lots of things, lots of ideas running around in this head.
There you go.
Yeah, just
Gotta
not
get
enough time to execute them all.
Got to get inspiration. Well, Diana, you have certainly inspired us all and made us all look like we need to, take our game up a notch or two. What a ministry, and we appreciate you sharing it. And just God bless you. Keep doing what you're doing. We love it, and we just want to be an encouragement to you as you encourage others.
Thank you so much, Mark. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Diane. What a story right here on PJNET.TV. There you see the view from high atop one of the many orbiting cameras in our studio as we bring up part 2 of PJNET.TV, which will be another tour around the Cross W Ranch, and that comes up at the bottom of the hour, so don't go away. Before I leave, or let you leave, I would like to ask you to ask yourself 2 important questions. First, what is the boldest thing that you've ever done for Jesus Christ? And secondly, when was that? Folks, we need boldness. I hope we never are satisfied with our answers to either of those 2 questions.